Hi there, and welcome to the ATS podcast with me, Will Brown, and John Soulsby, where we break down chunks of health and fitness information into bite-sized pieces, remove a bunch of the noise, and just leave what's relevant. Today we are on episode 17, which is the topic of our top 5 people to follow on social media. But as always, we're going to lead in with the off-topic just to get things warmed up, which is our top fitness social media memes, uh, or
Yeah.
essentially what this is essentially the people we think you should definitely not follow or only follow for amusement and nothing else.
Yeah. I sometimes worth following. Um, I've got one that's worth following just because it's funny.
Hmm.
But don't take anything they say seriously. Um, but I can't remember the guy's last name, but it's Frank. It's the dude who always wears the like bandana with the black beard.
Oh,
Just
It's
loses his
Rob
shit.
Frank. Yeah, Rob
Rob Frank.
Frank. You see, he was
Um,
recently hospitalized. He had like a colostomy bag.
no.
He had like a colostomy bag and everything.
Oh no.
He got fucked up.
I can't find him on Instagram now. No.
It's because he gets banned all the time.
Yeah.
To be fair,
He's it's just funny. Like
it
it's
is
just
very
funny.
amusing.
Like
Um, who else is good? I mean, in that same vein, Dom Mazzetti,
Tom Mazet is a legend.
the Brofessor on YouTube. He's still going on YouTube, which is amazing. Also, he
It amazes me. He's not run out of things to say.
yeah. I also highly advise his content. Also, strongly advise his merch. It's great.
Yeah.
It's obviously, I hope obviously, it's a satirical.
Yeah.
He essentially took what was that show? The Jersey Shore. So he is from New Jersey, or at least he sounds like he is from New Jersey. Uh, and he essentially escalated the kind of caricature of a kind of
Yeah.
Jersey Shore bro to its absolute extreme. But his content is extremely funny.
Yeah.
I mean, both of those are people who are knowingly satirical. Some of the ones I've got in the show notes are people
Oh, they're not.
who are not knowingly satirical.
It's just as you were bringing it up, I was like, there are actually people
Eh,
who are worth following just because they're funny. But
um,
um,
Jason Blaha, that's a big throwback. If anyone listening to this podcast knows who that is, I'll be impressed.
yeah.
Um, Noddy Oggener, the guy who runs Functional Patterns, that has
Are they
been,
still a thing?
yeah, it's still a thing. It's still,
I haven't seen them like blow up on social media or get mad at anyone for
he just
quite a long
he
time.
just bans everyone all the time.
Yeah. Good old fictional patterns is the
Yeah, fictional,
well-known name for them.
yeah, fictional patterns. He's still on, yeah, he's still on a Facebook. He still has like 500,000 followers on Facebook,
Oh,
but it's very much,
nonsense.
yeah, it is very much hot nonsense. It's like, is it some like do they look like they do some form of exercise on this page? Yes. Do they do this thing that a lot of fitness people or just anything in general will do, which is sell you a problem and then sell you the solution very conveniently.
Yeah.
Yes. Like
Um,
it's a complete misread of the kind of like the very mainline canonic uh, pain literature in that a lot of emerging research and interventions regarding musculoskeletal pain, apart from the obvious stuff like musculoskeletal includes like broken bones,
yeah.
any kind of actual traumatic injury. Lots of it is just inactivity mixed with poor dose management. In that, like, you aren't like your back isn't sore because you sit all the time. It's probably because you sit too much and do too little. Like it
Yeah.
isn't the sitting, it's the not doing anything. Like are do they go hand in hand? Yes. But it isn't the
Um,
sit part because people who stand aren't like just miraculously non-pained individuals. Like talk to any
yeah.
bouncer. They stand pretty much all the time they have their own set of problems, especially if they're
Yeah.
standing and not doing anything.
Yeah, totally. Or the like classic lift with your knees, not your back. It's not usually because you lift with your back, it's because you do very little lifting with your back ever and then try and pick up a box full of books.
Yeah, it's like inappropriate loading. It's like someone who does not resistance trained at all attempts to move a sofa down a flat, like down a fucking,
Yeah.
down a whatever it is, a shared stairway. And you're like,
Yeah.
unsurprisingly, you are not prepared. Like Illidan
No.
has come for you. You are not prepared.
Yes.
You strain something, pain.
Whereas
Like,
funny enough, like we've helped quite a few people move house before. I haven't really strained my back ever moving their furniture down the stairs. Not because I'm hard, but just because, I
yeah,
train. So
unsurprisingly, when
therefore,
you regularly pick up hundreds of kilos deadlifting, as long as assuming you're appropriately recovered to move a not 100 kilo sofa, you're fine.
yeah.
Like, yeah. Who else is on there? Liver King. I've never actually looked at his stuff, but it's just fucking hot nonsense.
I don't think I've ever actually listened to anything from him that isn't being memed on by someone else.
Yes.
It's quite funny. But yes, I feel hot nonsense. He's definitely not on gear. 100%.
Yeah, he's just
Um,
naturally
he's
that
natty.
red.
Yeah, that ripped.
Yeah. You
Um,
never see any skinny people who are that kind of color of red all the time.
no, he's also I can't remember how much it is he's made, but he's made like millions this year.
He will do.
Um,
Like if you work the social media algorithm is like if you do not give a shit about like essentially
being right.
lying to people wholesale.
Yeah,
Like if you just want to escalate and just escalate and escalate and escalate and just be like some
I
kind
mean,
of borderline sociopath on social media, you will go incredibly far.
yeah.
Just take absolutely hot take opinions. I mean, another classic one, big old top G himself, Andrew Tate. Like
Oh,
it's
dude.
like people just like it's the same shit. Like
Yeah.
people just yeah, if you just take hot take opinions, clip them, and they just go mad viral. Or I mean, in the fitness space, if you're just huge, tell everyone it's definitely not roids, even though you're some weird pink color 24/7 because your blood
Yeah.
pressure is sky high. And just make up some nonsense about whatever it is that you're doing.
It's
You'll
it's like the organ that you eat makes your organ stronger or some fucking shenanigans.
Yeah, I'll eat liver. It's like, oh yes, because the times liver was really popular, like in, just off the Great Depression, like all the times where like food has been super scarce, so offal has been
Yeah.
very popular. There's loads of folk that look like Liver King just walking around rural Russia. Like there's just hunters of
Oh, they're everywhere.
giant red dudes walking around Russia. Everyone isn't just barely hanging in there, like working the farm all day, every day. They're all
Um,
several 100 pounds of straight muscle.
yeah. Mhm.
Wild. Who else is dumb?
I
I
can't think of anyone specifically, but anyone who their morning routine includes sun tanning their arseholes, get them out.
Yeah, that's another good one. There's a lot of people that like tanning their perineum or whatever it is. Like,
Yeah. Hoggy didn't know that was a thing, and I joked about doing it when we went to California, and she was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Oh,
yeah.
you obviously don't follow enough people in the fitness industry."
Oh, it's wild. Yeah, like biohackers, that's another one. Like, you
Yeah.
can't just stop it. Get some help. Like,
Stop.
stop it. Get some help. The
Any Herbalife rep, any of them.
yeah,
Stop following
Herbalife is
them.
still a pyramid scheme. You can
No,
call it.
they paid a lot of money to not be called a pyramid
They
scheme.
did pay a lot of money in court not to be called a pyramid scheme. Our patented
A lot of money.
trapezoid marketing scheme. Fucking
Like
Simpsons
something like
have the best jokes.
300 million to be not.
Yeah, 300 million to definitely not be called a pyramid scheme. Gujin. It's like, unsurprisingly, when people settle out of court for an exorbitant amount of money, it's not because they're innocent. Um, the yeah, that one, biohackers. Yeah, just what else is there that's wild?
Yeah, Herbalife dodges pyramid scheme label and agrees to pay 200 million fine. Good one. That's
Nice.
in the Guardian. That's not even in like some shenanigans. Like
Newspaper.
that's in the Guardian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly. Yeah, unsurprisingly, like, yeah, it is just horrendous. It's a scheme. Don't buy any of it. Just eat food. Like, just eat some vegetables, mate. You'll be fine. Like, go down Aldi. Like, go raking through. Like, you try something you've never tried. Like, fucking, like, nobody eats fennel anymore. Try that stuff. Like, make some fucking fennel mash or whatever. Just find something, bro. Like, you don't need Herbalife. You just don't. Um, what else is good on social memes? The biohack people. The biohack people are my favorite just because so much stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's super. I find it amazing how there's like a line where like loads of people will say plenty of stuff I agree with. Like, I don't think anyone is as wholeheartedly disagreeable as it comes across as on social media. Like, they'll come out with stuff like it's important to take time for yourself and like be introspective about your life and like really try and appreciate what you have. And I'm like, yep, 100% agree. It's important to
Yeah.
exercise, like both like train with some resistance and do some cardiovascular stuff, like look after your heart, look after like keep like resistance training, keep yourself strong. I'm like, yep, strong agree. And they're like, it's also important to like jump in a fucking cold lock right as the sun is rising because there's some sort of special wiggity woggity like UV rays from the sun that are only available in the morning, and also being cold helps you like I don't know whatever they talk about big cold activation proteins that only turn on at a
Oh
certain
yeah.
temperature and all this stuff. And I'm like, you kind of lost me. Like if you want to see the sunrise and take a dunk in a cold pool because it makes you feel good and you kind of get energized because like how can you not get moving if you're trying to get out of a freezing cold pool?
Yeah.
I'm like, sure, if it makes you feel good, go for it. Does it have any wildly unique health benefits that are incredibly obvious in cross-cultural studies where people live in cold places that don't see much daylight? No. Unsurprisingly, nobody retires anywhere that's cold. Like nobody's like, "Oh, worked
No.
all my life in the absolute blistering 10-degree temperature of Scotland. I'm finally able to retire. I'm gonna go move to Iceland." Said nobody, ever. Like, old people retire to hot, warm places, because it makes you feel good. Like, guess what? You've got to fucking warm up before training, because if you don't, you'll get hurt. Like, tissue pliability and malleability increases with an increase in core body temperature, not the other way around. Like, you feel better when you are warm, to a certain extent. Obviously, heat stroke is too warm, but oh man, it just does. Like, it's just so wild.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, like it's like people who live in the cold places, unsurprisingly, don't have a wildly longer life expectancy or morbidity difference in any kind of disease. It's not like, oh my god, nobody in the Scandinavians has X disease when they get like thingied. Doesn't happen. Like, if anything, I actually remember looking this up once, and I'm pretty sure when you account for if you compare different climates as long as they have similar GDP, because unsurprisingly,
Oh, that's
like
the biggest marker for health there is.
Mark, yeah, money is the best health tonic you can pretty much get. Unsurprisingly, when you don't have to constantly stress about living paycheck to paycheck, you're way more likely to live longer. And
Yeah.
when like, oh god, yeah, unsurprisingly, there was no cross-cultural evidence to suggest that being cold most of the time it was any better. Or if it was offset by the fact you don't see daylight very much because you live in the northern hemisphere and there's large periods of time where the sun is just not out. Which
Yeah.
is why you should supplement with vitamin D, which is actually correct. Like, please do that. It's super important
It's good.
if you live in
I
Scotland.
remember finally persuading Niles to supplement with vitamin D. It's great.
Yeah, very good for you.
Made a big difference.
Definitely good, especially if you feel like you might get that seasonal affected depression when the sun is out because you wake up at like 7 in the morning, go to work in the dark, come home at like anywhere after 4 p.m., which will then be in the dark, and you're like,
Yeah. that was ours.
I hate winter.
Yeah.
Bring back those 20-degree days where everyone was moaning about being hot. I'd live like that all the time.
Oh, I'd love it every day of the week. Oh, it'd be
I'll take that
so
any
good.
time over like 5 degrees in Scotland. Fuck that. Um,
Um,
top
I can't
five
think of any other
people.
memers.
I was about to
Top five
say
people to follow.
top 5 people that actually follow, just because we're running on time. Um, who's good? My top five are Renaissance Periodization. Their content's really good. It's really to the point. It's empirical but communicated really well. Um,
Yeah,
Stronger by Science, same reason. You can even sign up to their newsletter where they send you a free study breakdown every month that's super interesting.
yeah,
Even if you are someone who isn't super or doesn't feel super confident about looking at empirical data, they even have guides on their website of how to interpret like basic statistics and empirical data and stuff, which is really useful. Again, for me, because I never went to university, because I'm barely out of the zoo. It was really handy.
yeah.
RP, Stronger by Science. Um, uh,
Oh, what's his name?
Adam Aikens is a good one. It's a bit much. Like he
Yeah,
kind of
sometimes with that. Yeah,
he plays up
he
to
plays
the
into the yeah,
yeah he plays in. It's one of these like super critical like let's roast stupid stuff on the internet type thing. Like the message is kind of there in that like the literature around physio and pain and like actual like interventions through injury and stuff. But it's like if you're not if you're not okay with someone being super critical and essentially roasting people online, then maybe not for you. But like I can
yeah,
see I just ignore it and just take out what is relevant, which is like the empirical information around like
yeah.
rehab interventions essentially.
Lane Norton.
Lane
I
Norton's a
think
good
he's another good
one.
one.
Again, could be a little divisive.
Yeah,
He comes across pretty strong, but is reasonable.
his actual stuff.
Claire's
Our,
mum follows him on Instagram, which is
yeah,
weird.
exactly.
She only follows like 5 people.
And also, to be clear, she followed him before she even knew you.
Yeah,
Is that no? Yeah.
it's
Um,
wild.
and then I really like Eric Cressy. I think his stuff's really good.
Yeah, Eric
Sometimes he
Cressy is
gets,
great.
ironically, he has been put on blast by Adam Meekins. I'm pretty sure at some
uh,
point because he was talking. I can't remember what it was,
he
but
made
like,
he made a minor comment about spine hygiene
oh,
when one of his
like,
interns was racking a dumbbell, and it's like
yeah,
there's much more to thingy. Like there's
yeah, and
way more to that than needs to be said.
but then like Adam like put him on blast. And you're like, oh, like he's anyway, like, and then I think that's probably
I'm chucking on Megan Calloway
oh
as well.
yes,
Megan Calloway has some great things in terms of like variations on exercises. Uh, I don't think I've ever found so many variations or different ways of training certain things that I had never even considered until I started following her page. So highly recommend.
yeah, obviously ATS,
Yeah, for all the content we
yeah,
try to put out more.
but hopefully it's
Um,
all good.
yeah, it should be all good. And that's a decent amount of social recs. We're trying to keep podcast episodes short, but it's hard because the off topic turns into a rant. But that is us. Go follow those people on social media. Please let us know if you find any of the meme ones we recommended funny. And we will see you in the next podcast. Bye bye now.
Bye bye.